Good afternoon. Hey, it's Trish with Mentoring Moms, Hip Homeschool Moms. It seems every single time it takes longer and longer for that to come on, y'all. I feel like we sit there and look at each other for an hour. Okay, we have Durenda and Heidi here. Durenda, introduce yourself.
I'm Durenda from Simple Nourishing Home. I have 8 kids, been married 25 years. I'm the one who posted the post with the pile of school books and the AARP card. But in my defense, let me just say I'm not 50 yet. So that's my husband. He's over 50, and he got me a complimentary AARP card. Wasn't that nice of him? Now, that's why it's in the bag, because I will refuse to carry it. I've still got 3 more years, and I am going to enjoy that. So anyway, so we have 8 kids, 2 are married, third grandbaby on the way, one boy in college, the rest are still at home, and we're enjoying the fact that the weather's finally changing to cool here, and we're getting to start fires in the wood stove. Let me clarify that, in the wood stove. And just, that cozy kind of fall feeling is finally here, so we're excited about that.
Yay. Hey,
Heidi.
Heidi.
I think that you have covered every stage of life right now. I think other than like pregnant or like new baby of your own, I think you got it all. I mean, I'm like, oh yeah, I have an elementary school and a middle school and a high school, that I'm dealing with for homeschooling, but you just got it all going on.
All at one time. And
Yes.
she has to do it all at one time, of course, right?
No, I can't.
Let's mix it all up. Okay, Heidi, don't forget to introduce yourself.
All right, so I'm Heidi, startsaat8.com. I have 3 kids, like I said, elementary, middle school, and high school. So I kind of one at each stage of the schooling phase, so to speak. I blog a lot about high school and teenagers, as that's my kind of most difficult stage of life right now, I guess. And I do a lot with elementary unit studies because my little one likes to get lost in certain topics. So we kind of dump them all together and put them out there.
And I'm Trish, and I have exactly the same thing, Heidi. I don't know if you know that. I'm elementary, middle, and high school. But I don't blog very much anymore. My blog's Live and Learn Farm, and it's dead. Poor thing. I do so much work over on Hip Homeschool Moms that I just don't have time. So, priorities. So anyway, but you can find me over there. Right now I'm doing a whole lot of the deal posts and, the free Kindles and things like that to try to help make homeschooling affordable. So anyway, we have a ton. None of us are motivated, by the way. We're all completely off this week. Heidi's already said she shortened her week. So I'm telling on you, I'm painting my house and getting stuck on the ear. Durenda has new grandbabies, has children turning 16, which is a huge deal. She has baby showers going on, so we're all helter-skelter over here, going every which way. So if y'all are feeling that way, we so can relate. What do y'all do? Heidi takes a short week. What do you do, Durenda?
I absolutely had to take a short week. I think that, and we all know that I'm the schedule follower. I'm the, gotta dot my I's, cross my T's. But I just, as each year goes on, I realize that it's not quite as important as I thought it was. And so, yeah, we X'd out a lot of the extraneous stuff, the extra science, the extra history, and we just kind of did a little bit of basics for Monday, Tuesday, and tomorrow, and we are taking Thursday and Friday off.
Good for you. What are you doing, Durenda? Durenda, when you're not really burnt out, but you've got all that other stuff going on. I know
Right.
You said you're looking for a planner.
Most of it happens on the weekend, but yes, I am on the hunt for a new planner because I have a new little home-based business that I'm doing, and I'm just trying to incorporate everything together. It gets a little confusing sometimes. So I'm on the hunt for a day planner, but honestly, I'm just going to take it one day at a time, and I think each day, if it calls for cutting the day short as far as school goes, then that's what we'll have to do. But I'm hoping we can at least get through the basics this week. We'll see. Yeah. So, and like we were talking about earlier, homeschooling is a lifestyle. You can't just, my parents just sent us to school. We were in that little box at school, and then we came home to the little home box. And when you homeschool, you don't get to have those boxes. They all run together. And so you spend a lot of time just navigating that and trying to make the best decision you can from moment to moment. And it's very, very challenging. So we are here to encourage moms that, first of all, we're with you. We totally get where you're at, and we hope that somehow we can be an encouragement to you today, in spite of our our craziness.
And foibles and our we when
Yeah.
we got on the phone, Heidi and I got on the phone. It's not the phone, but it feels like the phone. Anyway, when we got on to hang out together, the first thing she said, "How are you?" And I said, "Very unmotivated. How are you?" And so we're all there. I'm honest. We were very honest. But anyway, so we're plugging along. That's how I get through it. We just plug along.
Yep.
We just
The next thing.
yeah, whatever the next thing is, and whatever
Right.
doesn't get done, it doesn't get done. And I just,
That's right.
we'll move it till tomorrow, and we'll do our best again tomorrow. When maybe I am more motivated. It's rainy here today, so maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's just
Mhm.
dreary, and it's gotten me dreary. I don't know.
Right.
But
Right.
anyway, I understand being burned out. I'm so there right now. So okay, so we've got a bunch of questions today. Heidi, I always ask Durenda what she wants to start with. What do you want to start with today?
Oh man, put me on the
I know.
spot.
Okay, Durenda, never mind.
No, no, I'm fine.
Oh, Heidi can do this. She can do this.
How about literature-based? Any suggestions for a literature-based full language arts curriculum? We're using learning language arts through literature for my 3rd and 5th grade boys now, but feel it's lacking in writing and grammar. Or any suggestions on how to supplement it? I chose that question. And I chose it partly because I started using learning language arts through literature this year for the first time, coming from some other things. I'm using it for my early middle schooler. And I have to say, I kind of agree with her. Even though I'm on the other end, my son has had a lot of formal grammar, and he's taking a separate writing class. So the reason that I felt okay about learning language arts through literature, even though I had some concerns about kind of how the organization and how complete it was. I know they say if you go through all, like, most of the levels, like if you follow the pattern, that it covers everything. But I'm struggling with it because I feel like it's hard to organize it, and so that's why I chose this question, because I'm using it, and I've used some other stuff, so I thought I would try and
Share. Yeah,
and
tell us what you're
lend
using.
my perspective. So we're using language arts through literature this year for my 6th/7th grade son, and I'm supplementing it. He's actually taking an Institute for Excellence in Writing class
Which
through
one?
through Kirklick.com. He's taking
Okay.
one. Love, 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 love it.
IEW is fantastic. It's hard to beat IEW, I know.
I hadn't used it before, and I have not done any formal writing with him, really. I have him kind of write little summaries for books that he's read, but he's never produced anything great. But I'm really liking the way that IEW is being taught, the way, the concept behind IEW, and I like the fact that he's answering to someone else in this class. So I'm really glad that I found that and started that with him,
Okay.
because I like that as a supplement. Other things we've used that I really liked, like I know she's looking, I believe it's for like for grammar. I have used and liked Easy Grammar at different points in times, and I have used and currently using with my 8-year-old, Growing with Grammar. She's also using Soaring with Spelling, which is from the same company. They also have a writing one. I forget what it's called. Something with writing, obviously, but those are all from J. Chris. And I like those, like the Growing with Grammar, because they're more independent. They don't require as much from me. They have kind of a small, like 1 or 2 small page lesson, and then a worksheet kind of to go with it. And it's very methodical, going through the rules of grammar and things. So if you're looking for something to really kind of take you through the paces, I really like Growing with Grammar.
Very
Um,
good.
so I think that
Okay, so
sort of
we're
covers it.
we're going to add this just so everybody knows, in case they don't know. I try really, really, really hard to get a post up every week, and I am failing miserably doing that. So what I think we're going to probably need to try to do is create a file over in the group. Heidi, we can create one over there, and then just add in the day. It was Mentoring Moms Today. Here's the link to the video, and then here's the resources, and not
perfect.
Formal. And so, and I will continue to write and try to write posts, but if I don't want y'all to miss the link. So there's our alternative. So we'll have at least that going on. So that's some great information. I love IEW. I'm glad you brought that up. IEW is one of those that everybody's intimidated by, I think, because it feels very intimidating. But once I've started using it, we love it. We love IEW.
Because it says excellence in writing. Does that feel intimidating?
Yeah, I don't know, but it is.
Are you teaching it yourself?
Isn't it Institute for Excellence in Writing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds scary to me. So.
Are you teaching it yourself, Trish?
Yes.
Yes, you're teaching it yourself?
Yes,
I have
to
teach it myself.
I love it. We've used it for like 3 or 4 years now. So yeah, I'm a big IEW fan, and
okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say I had it for actually. I guess I've used it 3 years because I had it for 2 years and was afraid to touch it. So it took me 2 years.
Those big words.
Well, it's really intimidating because, it's just when you open it up, if you've never looked at an IEW book, it does feel overwhelming. I guess maybe intimidating.
I probably would have shut it and put it back on the shelf and never pulled it off again.
It's fantastic. It's probably my kids love to write, and honestly, I can 100% credit it to that. I couldn't have done it. I really couldn't have given them that love.
Have any of you ever tried Brave Writer?
Mm-mm. I had it. I didn't try it either.
Okay, I tried it with for a short time with some of our kids. It was just one of those things where it just wasn't working out for that time. But I really liked the approach that she took to writing, really keeping it, especially introducing writing to kids. I thought she was really good for that because of the way that she approached it. Just the free writing and some of that stuff that went on that I would have never thought of. I don't know, when it comes to writing, maybe, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I'm always looking for what's right and proper and all of that. And she starts out kind of pre-write and proper. Mm-hmm. Just really having this time to free write. There's no mistakes. You're just writing just for writing's sake. And the kids really had fun with it. And so it really kind of gave them a little more of a positive taste for writing because it can be a struggle for a lot of kids.
I've heard good things about Brave Writer as well. I know I haven't personally used it, but so I can't speak to it, but I have heard great things about it. So,
I do use learning language arts through literature I didn't for a couple of years, and then I just went back to it this year. So, just because I felt like it covered a lot for being one curriculum, and I think. For me, it's the 12-year-old and the 14-year-old are doing that, and they're doing a little extra writing on the side. But really, that's pretty much all we do. As far as grammar goes, people talk about the rules, and I just have been so bad about teaching my kids the grammar rules. We just try to learn about what looks right and sounds right instead of all the rules. So I've never made my kids memorize them or even actually read them. So I've taken a little different approach on that one, just because I felt like for them it was going to suck the life out of what they were doing. Like they were going to go, ugh, and they weren't going to remember it, absorb it. It wasn't going to be interesting to them. I really wanted to keep their attention, so I kind of avoided the whole rules thing and just kind of went with the doing part of it.
How do you structure your learning language arts through literature? Because it feels so adult intensive, and for me it just feels like my son is always in need of me to kind of guide him. There's no real layout of do this, do that. It's just like this whole list of stuff.
It's not very sequential. They just they go from one thing to the next, and maybe that's the problem. It's not sequential enough for you to sort of quantify into a list, because it'll go from one thing to another thing, and they're very different things. And so it does actually take more oversight than some of my other curriculum that I use. But because I like it, and I think it's been good for the kids because they've had to learn more to really focus on those directions. So what are they actually saying here? Tell me what you think they're saying here. So there is a little more of that conversation that has to go on with it. And I can't just lay it out, boom, boom, boom. I will lay out how much I want them to get done that day, but often I will have to, come into the scene and help them figure out what it is they're asking for. So yeah, it does. That's the downside if you don't like that aspect.
Isn't that interesting? Here we have, and Heidi, I assume you did not know that Durenda already was using that curriculum, did you?
No, but she mentioned it, I don't know, a couple of mentoring moms ago. I heard her mention it, but we never got a chance to to ask how she was using it. But I did hear her mention it. And but I didn't know ahead of time, and it was one that I chose to buy this year. And partly because I really like lightning literature and composition, but that's for middle school, like 7th, 8th grade, and then through high school. And I was looking for kind of something transitional for my son before he starts the lightning literature and composition next year, because that is absolutely my end-all, be-all for middle school and high school. I've used it with my teenager and love it. So I was looking for something that was going to kind of take that step and include literature, as part of the process, and some writing and some things with it. And so I like that aspect of it. I just feel so incredibly kind of haphazard. It doesn't feel organized to me.
Right.
And so I struggle with that. So.
Okay. I have picked the next question. I'm sorry. I'm moving on, y'all. And I think it's a great topic, and I love that. Who is the publisher for that, by the way? Learning language arts through literature. Who's the publisher?
I don't know. I don't
know. Yep, I could too.
Never mind.
Oh, she's coming back with it.
Okay. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and read the next question. It says, this is something I chose.
Common Sense Press.
Common Sense Press. That's right.
Common Sense Press. Yep.
Hold it up.
Oh, you want me to hold it up? Here. This is the tan one. This is like
yeah.
Grade.
I've cleaned it. Okay.
So.
Okay. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to move to the next one. Thank you, guys. It says, this is a question that we get every single week, and we've answered it probably 25 times, and we're going to answer it again. But this time we're going to put some things around it so we can hopefully help moms and give them a place to go. So if y'all are not a member of our group, y'all need to join Hip Homeschool Moms Community on Facebook. Because that's where I'm going to have a lot of these links. And the question is, where do you start? When all these moms are out there, they're brand new moms, they're wanting to homeschool, and they don't know where to start. I was going through our messages, and Heidi, I know you go through there every Wednesday. I was going through our messages that are out there on Facebook, and I'm not kidding, there were probably 8 messages. Where do I start? Where do I start? Where do I start? So I don't think we're going to cover it completely, but I thought we'd at least, throw, 2 or 3 things out there for them to be thinking about, and maybe this is an ongoing series. Maybe we can answer it further next week, where we dive in a little bit further. But the first thing that I wanted, and we have some on our Hip Homeschool Moms website as well, but one of the very first things I wanted to remind everybody is that this is homeschooling is state-run, not federally run, and so you are subject to the laws and regulations of your state. And the way you find out about what your state requires from a homeschooling perspective, I always refer everybody to hslda.org. Do y'all go anywhere else, or is that where y'all send everybody?
No, that's where I send everybody except for New York State, because I'm in New York State and I have the direct link.
Yeah. Well, hslda.org does they're homeschool advocates, number one, but number two, they also do summary pages, for each state, and so I usually just send folks over there because it's a synopsis, and sometimes these rules and regulations can be quite cumbersome to read and to understand, and I think it's valuable to read summaries. And then in our group we have a ton of moms that are from every state outside of the United States and everywhere else, and then you can ask them how they actually apply it within our community, I think.
Well, I think that's
So
important, what you said, Trish, about the summaries, because, Washington, we're in Washington State, and our laws are actually really very friendly, homeschool friendly, but if you went and actually read them, if I were new to homeschooling and I went to read them, I would be intimidated by them just because of the way that they're worded and all of that, and I would think maybe I can't do this, maybe this is going to be too hard, and when in reality, it's not. It's really simple. So having a summary, a place to read a summary, like you said, and also having a community like we have with Hip Homeschool Moms is a great place to reach out to other moms in your state and ask, like you said, how do I walk this out? What does this look like in everyday real homeschooling life? And
that's right.
so, yeah,
Because
what was that, Heidi?
it doesn't necessarily look like that, you know. I mean, we all
Right.
know. I mean, darn. In Tennessee, one of the things that I think that a lot of folks don't understand is an umbrella school. And so, you know, in the community, they're always asking about umbrella schools, and we explain it in there. So,
Mhm.
yeah, and then Heidi's up there in New York that is so darn restrictive. So,
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah. Oh my
the
gosh.
regulations sound way worse than they are, honestly, and that's why, you know, we had a thread going in the community about homeschooling in New York State, and I have you know, whole sections on my blog pertaining to homeschooling in New York State, and also I put sample paperwork, you know, because people think it has to be way more than it has to be,
Right.
we
see?
really, everyone that I around us that, you know, that I know that homeschools here in New York State, we're all a less is more kind of feel like try and do the least amount that you need to, you know, to satisfy the regulations. It is different from district to district, and I know that's surprising for people because you hear, oh, it's state regulated, so it's all the same, except the way the wording is in New York State, you can do this, this, or this with the superintendent's approval. So,
Mhm.
for instance, like with testing, people often think they have to have a certified teacher to do their testing. Well, that's not necessarily true. There's also, the wording states something similar to like, or other person. And the other person in some districts is allowed to be the parent, and that is what the superintendent has approved. And so where it sounds very scary, there's options. There's a this, or this kind of scenario with a lot of the things that go on for paperwork for New York State. So it depends on how your district has typically interpreted and what they've typically done throughout the years and allowed.
Right.
Yeah, so see, there's a perfect example of why you being in a community can help you actually get started. So, you know, I didn't want to go really deep, but I did want to this week to at least talk about where to find the laws and how to figure out what you need to do and how to get into connect with some locals. And our group. We have a file in our group, Hip Homeschool Moms Community, where moms are listing what state they're in and their contact information, but they regularly just post it on the wall. You know, I'm in Louisiana and I want to homeschool. What do I need to do? So it's a constant conversation in there.
So
So
Well,
tell
just
me
pop
again,
in.
where is that information you were talking about just now
It's in
about
the
where the
file
file? Okay.
sections, and in our Hip Homeschool Moms community, and the file name is Moms by State. I think is
Okay.
how is that
Great.
right? Yeah,
yep,
Moms
it
by
is.
State.
Yep.
So,
And I
yeah,
wanted
so you
you were talking about getting to people locally, not only with our moms by state
yeah.
in the files, but I also often recommend to people go out in your community in the middle of the day. You know, if you have a local library, if you have a local museum, local kids, whatever, you know, we have like jump houses and play places and the library and the ice skating rink. And, you know, there's so many things. Go out in your community during the day. And I can almost guarantee you're going to find other homeschoolers. You
Yeah.
know, and where you find one, you can usually find more, because even if the person you find might not be exactly the right ages for your kids or whatever, they might be part of a group. And, oh, you know, I'm a part of this group here locally. And so I often recommend to people, you know, when you're starting out, even when you're not starting out, get a local community. And one really great way to do that is to hit those kind of local kid educational spots during daytime hours, you know, while everybody else is in school. And you'll
Good
find
advice.
homeschoolers.
That's really good advice. Kid educational sites during the day. And then, of course, you can, Google local co-ops, like Fayette County, Tennessee, or whatever. You can look for co-ops because co-ops are not necessarily educational. They also have some play date co-ops and some are art co-ops and music co-ops. Where there's just a group of people that have created a class for homeschoolers. So there's lots of ways, but that would be for me if I had not had a bunch of local women to rely on to ask questions of. I don't know that I would have been so quick to jump into the homeschooling bandwagon. So I understand where these moms are, and I just I feel like we answer it all the time, but at the same time I also feel like we need to start creating a place where they can find this information instead of us answering it a gazillion times. So okay, so we're going to move on. Durenda, now it's your turn. What question do you want to answer?
I think the one about the daughters who have been less than helpful, to put it nicely, this mom says, around the house lately. We've started incorporating some new materials in our curriculum, so they may just be affected by the changes. Should I put books on hold to deal with this? The question was longer than that when I read it. I kind of had to just, we can only fit so much into a question here, so I had to kind of condense it. But basically she was asking, is it okay if I put the school books on hold for basically to deal with character issues, to deal with the things that aren't getting done around the house? And it sounds to me like she already knows what she should do. So, you never wait too long to put the schoolwork on the back burner and work on the character issues because, part of the homeschooling lifestyle is being able to keep those other things running smoothly as well to create a good learning environment. And those things that they're learning that aren't in the book, so to speak, are just as much a part of school as the books are. So it sounds to me like she has a really good plan, and that maybe to take a break from the books if she's feeling like that's kind of throwing them off a little bit, and get them to start remembering what their responsibilities are around the house and then go back to the books again. I think that's a great idea.
Okay, elaborate more, Durenda. How would you handle that?
Well, I think,
I
there's
know
a
you
couple
dealt with
options.
it, right?
Yeah,
So tell us, think backwards. Think about how you dealt with it.
well, I think, sometimes it depends. There's so many different ways you could do it as far as how much schoolwork do you want to drop. Sometimes I think math is my thing that I really hesitate to drop because I
We get
think I
so
dropped it a
lost.
little too quickly in the past and paid the price later. And so now I'm kind of like, okay, let's never, ever stop doing math because at least we're always
Yeah.
making progress. So, because I'm good with the language and the writing and that kind of stuff. Math is a challenge for me to teach and make sure the kids are getting all that they need in that. So I really feel this need to kind of keep, I guess it's my insecurity, just keep doing it and we should be okay. So I would tend to maybe just keep doing the math and then maybe drop the other stuff and really focus on making sure that they're understanding what their responsibilities are, that they're getting them done in a reasonable amount of time. The other thing is you can keep doing your normal schedule, but just if the chores aren't getting done, don't worry about getting to the schoolwork. Make sure the chores get completed and done well and in a timely manner. And so when that's going more smoothly, then you can kind of go back to your normal schedule.
So do you recommend chores first? Is that what you do?
Yeah, actually, I do. I have to because number one, my kids will somehow
Avoid
forget.
it. Mm-hmm.
Like if we
Notice
if we
I'm
if
keep
I
asking
change
about this.
that plan. What's that?
You see, I keep asking. There's a reason I keep asking, right? It's
Well, the
not just me
problem
being
is if
curious.
I change the plan and I let that slide, all of a sudden that's the new standard. Like the next day, that's the new standard. So, and for me, I can't function in chaos. I have a very hard time and I get very cranky and it's not good. So, some moms do great at just, I'm going to ignore this for a while and do this instead, but I need to have some semblance of order before I can concentrate on the other stuff. So that's the way I have to do it.
Okay. Heidi, I know
Um,
you have a chore chart.
I
So
do, because we had problems with this, and I created a morning, it's called the morning routine in chore chart. And so we have a list of the things that they're expected to do in the morning as part of their morning
first
routine. Um, and
is
that was,
it in the routine or is it first thing? So I mean, they don't do anything else until that's done, kind of thing.
yeah, the morning routine is literally like you get up and this is what you do. Like you
Okay.
get up, you get dressed, you make your bed and clean your room, you have breakfast, and you brush your teeth, and I mean, literally listed next to some of the things are like brush your hair, put
Mm-hmm.
socks on.
Use
Silly.
shampoo in the
Child,
shower.
that's right. Each child is different, and some of them need that. I get that. I understand that.
And so they
Kind
have a morning routine that they have to go through, and then listed underneath that morning routine on the chore chart is assignment sheet, like school assignment sheet or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because as people have heard before, I print out weekly assignment sheets for the kids. So after they've done their morning routine, and only after they've done their morning routine, then they move on to their assignment sheets. And when
Yep.
their assignment sheets are done, then they do chores. And there is no free time in this house until the chores are done.
Right.
And because, like Durenda, I mean, I don't do them first thing, but I don't allow anything else to go on until they're done. So if you want to play
Right.
video games, or if you want to go outside, or if you want to whatever, have you done your chores? Have you completed everything that's on that list? So it's the morning routine, it's the school assignment sheet, and then it's whatever chores that you had for that day.
Yep.
And
That's
there are some days that they don't get to it necessarily. If there's something going on, whatever, we haven't gotten to it, then guess what? The next day it's double the chores.
right.
Whatever you didn't clean yesterday still needs to get done today.
Yeah.
And so that's how we do it in our house, and it has been working so much better. In fact, my husband has been commenting recently, oh, I come home and things seem, and I'm orderly by nature anyways, but having the kids help out now that they're all
Yes.
older has really made a huge difference in me feeling less frazzled, and having things be cleaner and more organized. So laundry, I used to be scrambling on the weekends to try and get it done and get everybody to put it away. Laundry's now part of the chores. So like my 11-year-old son, when I went away for a homeschool blogging conference, he did the laundry all by himself because he's been doing it side by side with me, and so he knows how to do the laundry. And my husband joked, he's like, I don't even know how to run the washer.
My kids do it too, but I got news for you. I mentioned my washing machine is not working. My oldest is the one that does it, and he tends to get behind, and then he overloads the washing machine.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? Now I
It's
have a
broken.
I have a
Ah,
broken.
yes, those are the joys of teaching your children how to do things. And I'm with Heidi on the whole. I do the same thing. I've always had the whole the morning routine, which involves a few chores. Breakfast cleanup and unloading the dishwasher, cleaning up the kitchen, that kind of stuff. So we have order when we start schoolwork. Then we go into our school time, and after school time we have lunch, or sometimes, of course, it goes a little bit past lunch, and then we have some free time in the afternoon. But if the chores that didn't get done in the
Yeah.
morning, then they got to go back and do those. And but usually they're done with those. And then in the late afternoon, I have another, like, about an hour where
Yeah.
I just let them. I have stuff for them to do that needs to get done. So
I need to, y'all. The reason I was driving a little hard is because I'm struggling with that. We actually, in general, my kids have. I think part of the problem is I've been letting them get up later, and so instead of because mom needs that time in the morning to get organized and do stuff. So there's definitely a little bit of a personal reason for that. It's not just me being nice and I'm letting them sleep. It gives me time where I can think, and so yeah, so I'm struggling with that. So I get that, mom. Whoever that mom, I understand her. I understand where she is. Remember me saying that I was overwhelmed and that I was tired? Now y'all are sort of seeing the picture. All of it. I mean, it all feeds each other, doesn't it?
it does. It
Well,
does.
I think
And
the hard
that's
part.
Go
I
ahead.
think the hard part is that when we're tired and we're frustrated, that our follow through goes right down into the toilet, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when it's most needed. That's when
Right.
you most need to stick to your guns and to stick to the plan, and stick to the consequences, rewards, whatever it is that, that you've set out to do. And I think that's the hardest part. And I
It
see it in my
is.
own kids on a daily basis. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I turn my head for a second, and like Durenda said, it happens one day, and suddenly the kids think it's the norm.
It is. I
Of
know.
something.
I live it. I'm living it. Thank you very
Mm-hmm.
much.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the hardest thing, that somewhere we as moms have to dig really, really deep when it's the toughest,
Mm-hmm.
and really dig for that follow through and that kind of staying power to stick
Yes,
to the plan and follow through on it, because it does pay off later. But the
it
instant
does.
you let go, you've lost
It
ground.
does. Well, and I think too, sometimes our lives, just because of circumstances beyond our control, get complicated, and so I think I like what Heidi said about focusing on the follow through, and what I want to say is, if that means that you have to simplify in order to do the follow through, then do it.
Yep.
And I think that's what this mom was asking: should I simplify in order to follow through? And my answer is a resounding yes.
Yes, I agree.
Simplify
Yes.
so you can follow through.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's good. See, I knew there was more there. We needed to dig that one out. 'Cause, see, I needed to hear it. I
Well,
needed to hear that one.
which, Jordan said simplify, and absolutely yes, because if you don't address the character issues, because there are those character issues that follow through of your own children, that work ethic
That's
that they
right.
need to learn, and even if it's like not something that comes naturally to them, it's still something that's important later in life. And if you don't work those character issues, if you don't work those life skills, the schooling isn't going to you're not going to be productive in your schooling. So
Mhm.
absolutely, character issues and those kinds of logistical things first, and the
There was a
schooling will come.
quote. We said, I think we covered it last week, but there was a quote in the group last week that somebody said that they would rather have not so smart, hard-working kids
Mhm.
than intelligent, brilliant, lazy kids. I was
Yep.
like, oh boy, I can so identify with that.
That
So
was good. Very
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. So anyway,
Because I
okay,
guarantee
so
you, your hardworking kids are always going to have a job.
that's right. That's right. That work ethic is so important.
Yeah,
That is
it is. I
so
remember saying to our kids, because I was kind of clamping down on them because we were dealing with work and laziness and, trying to instill good work ethic in them. And my line to them was, I will not watch my grandchildren starve. And
there you go.
they looked at me like I was crazy, but the bottom line was I was looking way past this 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old, and I'm saying this, and obviously it comes over time. They're not going to be that hardworking 4-year-old,
Right, right.
whatever. But what I'm saying is it starts young, and you build on it, and you continue to build on it, and you stay consistent, like Heidi was just saying. You find that in you, and you make sure it happens, even if you have to simplify, because when it's all said and done, those kids are going to be providing food for your grandchildren.
And you know
So
what? When you fall off the consistency bandwagon, which I have fallen off,
we all do.
you get back on. You
Yep.
get right back on. You have to analyze, just like we're sitting here doing right now, helping this mom and this mom walk this out. I'm overwhelmed with a lot going on in life, and when we do get overwhelmed, we do tend to something has to give. And for me, that was. I was just letting them get up late and do their thing, and there was fewer arguments, and fewer
Okay.
disagreements, and that's not the right thing to do. So yeah, and like I said, when you fall off, because we all will, life takes over, and we get, and struggle with something, get back on, and that's what I'll do. I'll tell y'all how it's going in a couple of weeks.
I see somebody, Ashley, put in a question pertaining to the morning routine chore chart. What are the consequences if the kiddos do not follow through with their chores?
Oh,
Um,
Heidi can answer this.
Well, and I think we did sort of answer it. I mean, you don't get the free time. You don't get the, whatever it is that you want to do. You want to go play with your puzzles. You want to go do your, horses. You want to play video games. You want to watch TV. Whatever that is, you don't get it. So, when it comes down to, on Monday nights as a family, we all sit down and watch Dancing with the Stars. Like, it's just something we all do together. We sit down. If your chores aren't done, guess what? You don't get to sit down and do that. You need to complete your chores first. And the kids want to sit down and hang out with us, and they want to do the traditional kind of whatever it is for our family that we're doing, or, in the afternoons, they want their downtime. They want to watch their TV, or they want to go play on the trampoline. And so for us, the consequences are chores first. So until, you don't get your free time until the chores are done.
Right, and finding their currency, like Heidi was saying, what's the next thing that they would typically get to be able to enjoy? Well, that thing now is not something they get to do because these responsibilities need to be handled first. And so, and it's just sometimes it's hard to think about what consequences should be, but just natural life consequences are the best route to go, because ultimately that's what they're going to face as an adult. And so I think Heidi,
the mommy guilt sets in for me with some of that. Like, we're having this, we're watching this, program all together. This is something we do together every week. Everybody enjoys it. And I feel terrible if I have to say, well, sorry, but you can't, you can go do your chores, and as soon as it's done, come join us. And I feel terrible about that. But again, for me, it's that's what we've chosen as a consequence. And regardless of how I'm feeling about it, I need to follow through on it. And honestly, it doesn't take very many times of them to miss some for them to be like, oh, I better hurry up and get this done because it's Monday night, and we're gonna pop down as a family and whatever. And so, obviously, there's other things that go on in our house. I was just using Monday night as an example right now, because it was just Monday night. So it is sometimes hard to do that follow through, but that's when it's most important, because the instant I give in and just be like, oh, it's okay, you can do them later, you can have your, you can go play with your friend, or you can go whatever. The instant I do that, like Durenda said, suddenly that's the norm, and that's okay tomorrow and the day after that. And so it's important that you then follow through on those consequences that you've laid out. And it's different for each child. Some of our kids, have different things that they're more upset about losing.
Right. Yep. I love that. I love how Durenda uses that language, their currency, because that's important. Because what's important to one is not necessarily as important to the other. So that's a good point. Okay, so next, what do we want to go to now? We've got a few left, and we only have about 18 minutes left, so we're not going to get to them all. So one of the things that you popped in here, Heidi, was about the sick day. I think that one, let's talk about that, because we talked about earlier, Durenda, you mentioned, how we sent, when we were young, Mom sent us off to school, and we came back, and, we got to change our hats out and be a different role as a mom. And we don't get to do that now. And so, I think that for us, at least in my house, if I'm sick, the kids continue to do whatever they would normally do if they're of that age. If they're not of that age, then you have to obviously find an alternative to that. But what about y'all? What do you do when you're sick? You just take off in my house.
Heidi, go ahead.
Yeah, all of my children are at an age where they do almost everything independently, or can anyways, with little. But when they were younger, and I remember I had a difficult pregnancy, my second pregnancy, and and when they were younger and needed more, I stripped it down, if there was things that I could manage to do with them, if there were things that I could, do a little assistance with them. If not, then we took the day off, watch some educational videos, play a puzzle, do a puzzle, engage them in something that's kind of, hey, let's all climb into bed. I recently saw a photo somewhere of somebody with their kids all in bed. I don't know, maybe and saying, oh, we're doing school from bed today because mom wasn't up to it that day. And so what kid doesn't want to climb into bed and curl up with mom? And so read a book, do something different, something that you can manage.
Y'all
Right.
are made of tough stuff. Y'all know that? I'm telling you what, because when I'm sick, they're going to be in the bed with me. They're going to be looking at the back of their eyelids. Thank goodness I don't get very sick very often. I mean, but darn, y'all are made of tough stuff. I don't know how you homeschool when you don't feel good. How do you? I mean, to me, I don't. I just, thank goodness I'm not sick a lot, right? Because my kids would never get any school done.
I think it depends on what you're how bad you're feeling and what it is too. I
Right.
mean,
I mean, if you're over the toilet throwing up, yeah.
But how many moms do we have though pregnant and suffering with nausea and morning sickness and stuff, and they're trying to keep on keeping on. I mean, can they stop homeschooling for 3 months? I suppose you could.
Can. Absolutely.
That's what the point of homeschool, part of the of being flexible. And so I think that if you're just down and out sick and can't do it, don't do it. This mom says she didn't ever lost her voice, so maybe there's things she can do. She can, if her kids are of reading age, or she can kind of point and give them directions to do a couple of small things. But if not, let it go. Do
Totally
they said do something that they can. Put them in front of some educational videos or whatever, or not. Let them play video games all day if it keeps them out of your hair.
Play Legos. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, I feel like Trish said, I don't want them back of the eyelids if they're in bed with me. And if you're feeling that way, absolutely find anything that will keep them happy and let them have at it for the day.
I like what Heidi said about when they're little, they're really not. I mean, at least at our house, we weren't doing a lot of very serious schoolwork when they're little. So fortunately, you can afford to take more time off if you need to, or just not really do anything, or they're happy playing with Legos or coloring or whatever, And when they're older, hopefully we've gotten them to the point where they're independent enough that they can at least do the basics on their own. And so, there's ways to do it, and then there's days, like Heidi said, to just forget it. Call it a day.
Go to bed.
So for me, right? Just throw in the towel. But
I get that. I mean, I'm more like you than I am unschooly, so I'm sort of in the middle, and I would be the one going, forget it, get to bed. So, but I understand. I mean, I know a lot of people can't do that. But, okay, Durenda, what's yours?
Did you see the cartoon that somebody put up recently about homeschooling and sickness, and the mom was taking their temperature there, and they're like, all right, your temperature's down, so now we can do some schoolwork till your temperature goes back up.
Yeah. Too funny. I didn't see that one. You posted in the group. I didn't see it. Was it in our group?
I think so. Yeah, I believe it was. Someone had posted it in there, but I just
now there's a diehard homeschooler.
Yes.
Not me, y'all. Oh. Okay, so we've got fire, comparable. We've got
5 in a row.
Yeah. You want to do that one?
Yeah, I can do that one. I was hoping to be able to dig out my old my 5 in a row book, but could I find it? No, I dug through all these school books and couldn't find that particular one. I did use 5 in a row with our 2 youngest kids, and so all I can do is just share, because I don't have it in front of me to answer every single question, but the pros and the cons. I did it. I really enjoyed it. The pros were I loved the general ideas and the focus on one book at a time, and just kind of the little activity ideas and things. I like the idea of being able to pick and choose what I wanted to do, and not have to do everything in there. The simplicity, the relational aspect of it, I really liked that. This person is asking, do I add in my own penmanship and writing, or does it come with worksheets? I don't believe it comes with worksheets. We can do that kind of in a separate little book, is how we would handle that, is just get a little workbook or whatever from Costco or a writing book. You know, you can order those online. Let's see, she says that her child is 6 and would love answers from moms who are using it. And 6 is a great age to use 5 in a row. I think that is a wonderful time to use it. So that's kind of my take on it. I don't know, Heidi, do you have an opinion about 5 in a row?
We used 5 in a row only for, we used, I believe it's called Before 5 in a row. It's like the preschool version, which I loved, you know, when we did it. For a lot of the same reasons that you mentioned, Durenda, and we all know. I like my unit studies, and I do base a lot of studies on one book, and that's kind of what, you know, 5 in a row is all about. And what, like Durenda said, being able to pick and choose. I mean, there's a lot of books in each one of the 5 in a row books, and you don't have to do them all. You can pick and choose which ones you want to do, and how many activities or how in depth you want to get. No, you're right. It does not include worksheets. You know, it's kind of like almost like a teacher's manual, sort of, with all, you know, all the suggestions and activities in it for each, you know, and a list of books, and then you go out and get the books. We would borrow them from the library, even, you know, if we, you know, didn't have them or couldn't find them inexpensively. And yeah, no penmanship was included. But like Durenda said, there's a lot of great, you know, just getting a workbook. We loved Handwriting Without Tears. You know, when the kids were younger, that was a great program that you can add in. And she asked if it's comparable to a different curriculum. I don't know that I can come up with one that's comparable.
No.
Because it takes a different, you know, the approach of, you know, basing it off of one singular book per section, basically. You know, it's kind of like a unit study almost, based around, you know, one specific book.
Right.
So I don't know that one is comparable.
No, and the thing that I love about it, and I've mentioned this before, is, you know, I've talked with Steve and Jane. Jane wrote 5 in a row, and Steve, her husband, said she would come home as she was writing these 5 in a row books, and she would come home from the library with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books that she sifted through personally to make sure that the content was good, that the art was good, you know, just that each book was very specifically handpicked by someone who really has, you know, understands literature and all of that. And I just thought, what a valuable resource that is. It's like kind of like having grandma who's been homeschooling for a long, long time, and she comes to your house and tells you these are great books to use for, you know, to teach your kids. And so I love that part of it.
I like that too. And Heidi, this may have been how you developed your love of unit studies. So this is where you started out.
I did. I actually started out with this one, I think, with my son. I started out with it, and I do just love that concept, and I love how, you know, you take one small concept from a book or a word or a theme, and then they would expand on it with different activities. And, you know, obviously at the younger levels, it's a lot about colors and numbers, and, you know, and stuff like that. But I just really loved that, and, you know, it gave you so many, you know, kids like repetition anyways. They, you know, I'm sure we've all had our kids have a book where they, you know, you have read it a million times, and 5 in a row lends itself to that. You know, it lends itself to reading the book over and over again, becoming really familiar with it, and doing the activities really helps you to become familiar with the book and the themes and the concepts in the books. And obviously that just grows as the child gets older, and they get into the older levels.
And don't you think that because they take one concept, one book, and they dissect it like that, it really encourages critical thinking at a young age? And I love that too. Only it's fun. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really just encourages them to see things in the book that they might not have seen or might not have expanded on. You know, and I really liked that about the program.
Okay, so I'm going to announce something today that is not out there yet, but what they have asked for, the pros and the cons, and how real moms have used this book. We're getting ready to launch on Hip Homeschool Moms a complete review area where moms are going to go out there and do the reviews, not us. And so we literally, it's probably going to go live this weekend, maybe a little earlier, maybe earlier at the end of this week. But that's exactly what it's going to include. It's going to have the pros. Each mom's going to give their own pros, their own cons, and how they used it, what age they used it, etc. So y'all be watching for that, and I'm sure we'll be announcing it in our group and on our Facebook page. But yeah, that's getting ready to come out very, very soon. We've been working hard on that. Thanks, Leanne. So, okay. Anyway, next, this is funny because the questions you picked, Heidi, it's like you were thinking about me when you were picking them. How sweet of you. I know you didn't know that I was dealing with any of this, but I'm going to pick this one. It says, I don't know if it's just my kids, but this week they're waking up much later than usual. Last week they woke up at 7:30. This week it's 9. Not sure if I should let them sleep or wake them up. What say you? Oh, can I answer that one? Consistency, consistency, consistency. Do not fall into my bad habit that I have fallen into for the last 3 or 4 or 5 weeks. Shh. Anyway, longer maybe. We won't go there. But yeah, don't do it because it's a slippery slope. Once you get there, you're gonna keep falling down. For me, what works for me, and I know this, and I'm going to say this, and but know that I'm also off the wagon right this very second. Routine. Stick to the routine. The routine is more important than the schedule, and Heidi's going to jump to the screen and stop me. But for me, the routine is more important than the schedule. You can do the routine without actually having a time for each thing. And see, I've broken the routine. So it's my fault, So wouldn't y'all agree? Except for Heidi.
And if you have to go back down to that skeleton schedule as a place to start, you can do that. And and also, this whole thing about waking up later, can I just remind everybody that this weekend we're going to fall back, so that's going to work in our favor.
Yeah.
We got one extra hour, so your kids won't be waking up that late next week at this time.
That's right. That's right.
Hard with it being darker later in the morning.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is, Heidi. I really do.
So the time change is going to help it.
Yeah, I think the time change will help it. But I think, Trish, that you would be surprised that I'm not all about schedule. I am more about routine. While my trusty assignment sheets have times on them, it's more. It's not like, literally, I have my assignment sheets. Look, assignment sheets, everyone. See, assignment sheets, and it says 11 o'clock or 9 o'clock.
That looks like something from the IRS.
Look at that.
Okay, Heidi.
Wow.
Okay, but it's
do it again. Do it again.
I want to see it. Wow. That's impressive.
Okay, Heidi. Show and tell. Here's mine.
Okay. Let's see.
Do y'all see it?
Yep. So, hers is pretty colored blocks.
But mine also has times too. But mine says 8 to noon instead of an actual, and they get to pick.
The thing is, mine is the only reason I put time. The only reason there's really times. There's 2 reasons for in Homeschool Tracker. One, because it kind of puts it in an order, and it used to be really, really important that my now teenager that she did math first because it was frustrating for her, and it was better for her to do it fresh and not do it later in the day. And so, with Homeschool Tracker. Putting a time allows me to order them, and so I put a time. Not only that, the time is, we're supposed to log hours. You're in order to fulfill our regulations.
That's right.
You're supposed to log a certain number of hours per subject, per quarter, per. So what I've done is I know my kids. I know approximately how long things take. So I'll have a block of time. Say for my teenager, she has math for an hour and a half. Now, it might take her 45 minutes one day. It might take her 2.5 hours another day. But on average, I know about how long it takes her, and I do that with all of the kids' stuff. Doing a spelling test takes 15 minutes. Doing the spelling activity takes approximately 30. Does it take more or less sometimes? Excuse me. Absolutely. So, yes, I like routine and I like schedule, and I put times on our assignment sheets, but that's kind of a general, kind of laid out as far as how I knew how the kids did things. And I agree with you, Trish, that routine is important. And they say statistically, statistics prove that having a routine, having a set bedtime and wake up time is healthier. It's, your body gets into a specific rhythm, and,
Circadian rhythm, isn't that what
yeah.
it's called?
Yes,
Yeah.
and so it really medically and statistically is healthier to do so, to keep kids, even on the weekends, like they say, like people who work, Monday through Friday, whatever, to even keep as consistent as you can on the weekends. And I know it's funny because my husband recently has been much more strategic and methodical about going to bed and getting up, and now he's up by 5:30, 6 o'clock every morning. Doesn't matter if he needs to be up or not, he can't sleep anymore. And so I think that, while I will accommodate, my daughter will have a really late gymnastics meet. She'll get home at 1 in the morning, or, she might just have had a long series of nights. And so, there might be a day where I let her sleep in until, 10:30, whatever. But that is certainly not the rule. As a rule, it's consistency. But, your kids, and, sometimes that, they need a little more sleep. Maybe you need to, instead of them sleeping in later, get them to bed a little bit earlier, to get that extra sleep if at all possible. But you're right, it is a slippery slope, and they do say that, consistent bedtimes and awake times, is a good thing, that it's healthy for your body.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, 100%. And I've blown it. And by the way, mine does have times on there too. I do the same thing. Some of the times on mine is because it's a outside class, like you're doing with IEW and Kirklick, and those are times we can't push. So I do have times on mine. But most of them say like 30 minutes for this, or an hour for that, or whatever. So
and the reality is we live in a 24-hour day, so we do have to be somewhat conscious of what time it is in order to, get done what we need to get done. So I think a schedule and all of, I don't have one sitting in front of me, obviously, but boy, you guys are impressive. I love those. Those are great.
Mine is just sitting here because I am supposed to be logging it. Like, this is the paper version, and I'm supposed to be logging those grades. And so it's sitting next to me because that's on my to-do list, is to finish up the logging from last week, because we write their grades and stuff right on the paper.
I do the same thing. I log it in my planner. So I don't plan ahead. I journal or log what we have done.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
So that's why mine is sitting there, because I have to look on there to see what they were supposed to do to make sure it got done. So anyway. Okay, guys, we have hit 2 o'clock, and guess what? We did not get to, wait a minute. Can y'all take pictures of your schedules and post them on HHM? Absolutely. We'll put it over there in the link. Well, do you have a link to yours? I know you do, Heidi.
I have a whole post about my planning with Homeschool Tracker. Yeah, I can link to the post that it's in with a video and stuff. So yeah,
We'll do that.
Yeah,
we'll do that. Well, what I'll do is I'll go over and create a file over there, and Durenda and Heidi, if y'all can y'all just add yours in? That way I don't have to be the keeper of that file. Thank you. Right. Yeah, I'm overwhelmed. I told y'all that, right? Did I mention that? Okay.
Yeah.
So
administrate. You're overwhelmed. You should administrate.
I know. I'm delegating.
That's right.
Delegate. No, I don't mean to. Okay, so don't forget, y'all. Heidi starts at 8, and Durenda is at Simple Nourishing Home. Y'all go by and visit them. They will put their links to their blogs over there in that document, right? So we can track everybody. So anyway, I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate the moms out there asking questions and letting us be a part of their homeschooling journey. We hope that we are a benefit to y'all. So we'll be here next week, same time, same place, hopefully a little more motivated. Maybe I won't be quite so overwhelmed. And I'll have my routine back, right? So y'all can hold me accountable. Y'all can ask me.
We want to report when you come back.
I will. Okay, y'all have a great week, and we will talk to you next week. Okay, bye.
Bye.